It was always used to be the first race of the season. I won there twice, 2014 and then in my World Championship year 2016. And here, they're just completely gonna take us through here now, and it's just gonna be flat out, so it's gonna be so fast. Fernando Alonso. I don't know why. Hey everybody, so welcome back. It's F1 Fridays, and this week we're going to Melbourne. And there's a new layout, so I'm going to take you through a hot lap and I'm going to explain to you the new layout, what the difference are going to be. Melbourne's a special place for me. I won there twice. It was always used to be the first race of the season, so hit the ground running 2014 and then in my World Championship year 2016. So I have fond memories there, of course, and now let's go into the hot lap. But before we get going, you have a chance to win a surprise giveaway from me by answering the following question. Who would you love to see as world champion in Formula 1 in 2022? And my personal one would be Fernando Alonso. I don't know why. I think it's just cool how he's driving at the moment. I think it would be awesome if he would win one more, but that's unlikely to happen, obviously. That was a good lap, I'll leave it at that. And now I'm going to take you through a slow lap, where I'm going to explain to you also the changes that they're making to the circuit this year and how that's going to impact the racing. Okay, so braking into turn 1, you brake just at 100 meters, and then it's quite a fast corner, and this year they're moving the curbs on the inside, like, further in. So the corners are all getting a little bit faster and there's more space. And so it's going to be a pretty quick corner, this turn 1, at least 4th gear. Then this next part is so difficult, especially in the wet, because you need to be almost flat, but in the wet it can be so twitchy. So it's a very, very difficult corner, that one. And you see a lot of people going off and spinning into the barriers there. Okay, then down here, DRS zone. Again, you brake at 100. This is the slowest corner, or second slowest corner of the lap. 2nd gear. Tight on the inside here, and you don't run out to the exit. You stay middle of the corner and then you try and get over to the right again, because this corner is where you can make up a lot of time by carrying the speed through. This 4th gear, use all the track. Again, try and get back to the left as soon as possible to then go flat through this. Very difficult to take it flat, but you have to try and make it flat through here. Now we got another section where there's a lot of changes. So this corner here, which was like 3rd gear, they moved the inside curb again quite far inward, so it's going to be a lot faster. So it's going to be 4th gear now, a lot more speed through here. And now we get to the biggest change on the track. So here's flat, 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 it's not DRS, and here they're just completely going to take us through here now, and it's just going to be flat out, so it's going to be so fast. This straight has become a lot longer, so this straight now, contrary to previous years, this is going to be a huge opportunity for overtaking here, because you can do a long slipstream, long straight, and you can overtake down into the fast corner, which is going to be pretty hairy if you have 2 cars side by side all the time getting into those fast corners down here, but it's going to be a great overtaking opportunity. No DRS though. Here, fast corner, you downshift to 6th gear from 7th or 8th, and then easy little lift little brake, little lift, and the second part is just a little lift and almost flat. Then back up 7th gear, 8th gear, and there can be another braking opportunity down here. Again, they're moving the curb in. No, on this corner actually, they're moving the curb the other way. They're moving it outward, so it's becoming slower. So what they want to do here is they're hoping that you can follow through the fast sections, and by making this corner slower and giving it a bigger braking zone, that you'll have another opportunity to overtake here, down here, which is also a DRS zone, I believe. So this corner is getting slower here. And now the last section is the same. So you got 6th gear here, flat out through this part, almost a little bit of a lift, just one downshift, usually 5th gear. And then last corner, again, you gotta try and bounce to the right as quickly as possible in order to be straight before you start braking. And then it's 3rd gear, maybe even 2nd gear. Again, don't use the whole exit. You gotta stay middle of the track, because you gotta come back across to the left here in order to get this corner as fast as possible whilst you're upshifting. 4th, 5th gear, little lift, and then go again. And that's the end of the lap. So thanks again for tuning in. So question 1 from Ben. Why do drivers have such difficulties warming up their tires this year? Well, the tires are different, obviously, because their tire wall is much smaller to replicate more what road tires look like nowadays. And I don't really know why. I mean, the tire blankets are still there, so just for some reason it's difficult to get the temperature into the core of the tire, because one thing is tire blankets warming up the surface of the tire, but it's the core that's very important. And to get the core up to temperature, you really got to work the tire, you got to work the rubber, so that every molecule within the whole tire gets up to temperature and starts to work correctly. And that seems to be more difficult now, because of course, if the tire wall is smaller, it's also more likely to be a lot stiffer, so maybe it's more difficult to get the tire to work and takes a bit longer. That could be a possible explanation. Question 2 from Atul. How does it happen that purposing is such a problem with the new cars, even though the teams run thousands of simulations? So simulations in the wind tunnel, of course, is never the real life. You don't have bumps in a wind tunnel. And so the purposing will happen because this year there's a lot more aerodynamics under cars, from ground effect. So it's like a tunnel under the cars, and there's a lot more aerodynamics down there. And therefore the cars are more sensitive. And for example, if bumps surprisingly cause disturbances for those aerodynamics, and the aerodynamics nevertheless are very reactive. So imagine a bump comes which compresses the car, and in that moment the aerodynamics create a real suction. When you then go over the bump and the car lifts and the suction, suddenly the air disappears or whatever, comes back in, and so the aerodynamic downforce just suddenly disappears again. Then the car will lift off. Then the next bump comes, compresses the car again, and suddenly you got a vacuum again under the car. So the car gets sucked down, the bump leaves, and it's just an oscillating movement like that then gets worse and worse and worse if these cars are very sensitive to the aerodynamics under the cars in terms of ride height. And that's the reason why then maybe you get purposing, which you would not have seen so much in a wind tunnel. And that's the big challenge that they have sometimes, because they're developing the car a lot on the computer simulation in the wind tunnel, which unfortunately is still never 100% exactly the same thing as the real car. And that's my alarm. So question 3, Bruno DSL. As Melbourne is kind of a street circuit, the surface needs time to give the cars as much grip as possible. At which point do you feel the improved grip as a driver? It really takes time. I mean, you go out there, it's a street circuit, it's so dusty. It takes time, you just build it up, and it's just, you have to adapt as a driver always anyways. So you go up, you take your fuel out, you put a new tire on, others have been driving. So it's just through a weekend, you just feel that the grip is ramping up all the time. And the ultimate grip peak is usually then in qualifying or in the race. But in the race you have used tires and more fuel, so you'll have the biggest performance, as we know, always in qualifying. That's when the grip is at its best, so you just have to get used to it. Question 4, James, do you think that the new track layout will affect the race and make it more exciting? I do think that they've done the track layout to make the race more exciting. I'm not sure about making these corners faster, if that's a good idea. I don't think so. So I don't think that's going to make it more exciting, because they're doing that in turn 1, turn 6 if I'm not mistaken. Nevertheless, I think removing the corner at the back there and creating a long straight there, that's going to make racing more exciting, because that gives another overtaking possibility back there with a long slipstream. I think making the corner slower at the back of the track is good, because we know that sometimes there's been people trying to overtake there, and if you have a bigger braking zone, that will help you to try and lunge down the inside. So I think they've done some good changes, and I'm excited to see how it works. But anyways, with these cars nowadays, where you can follow a lot closer, I think specifically Melbourne, I think it's gonna be good. Question 5, Randy, what goes through your mind when you see an accident like Mick's in Saudi Arabia? Do you instantly remember crashes that happened to you? My first thought there is like, thank goodness I'm not in that, because it's horrible. I mean, to have a shunt like that, it really hurts. It really hurts, and it's scary. It's really scary. And the Jeddah track is the most dangerous, I think, in the whole year, because you're flat out through so many corners and they're all blind. You don't see what's coming afterwards. So if someone has a crash there and he's like standing and blocking the track, and you're arriving with 300 blind right after, can really be a serious issue. So it's quite a scary track. So in that case, actually, I'm glad that I wasn't driving there at that point in time. Remember, I'm gonna send you a surprise gift if you get the most liked comment below this video. The question I want to hear from you is, who would you like to see as world champion this year? Anybody, you can say anybody. So good luck with that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.